The Big 12 College Experience, Utah Utes 2024 team preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. And welcome everybody into the college football Big 12 college experience. That is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Utah Utes style, baby. Welcome to the Big 12. Year 20 of the Kyle Whittingham era. Cam Rising also back for about his 10th year, so he's been there about half the time Kyle Whittingham's been coach. Just kidding, Utah fans. I know you guys sometimes are a little on the sensitive side. We like Utah. We're glad you are a part of the Big 12. But first, if you wonder who you're listening to and you're new to the show as a Utes fan, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Barton. And we're talking Big 12. So first up, well, Utah, I don't know if you're going to like this guy because he was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa. He lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. Co-host of the Ryan and Rush Show, Rambling Rush. Go Cougs or go Utes?
Go Cougs. I'll be nice on this episode. Go Holy War. So yeah. Hey, I grew up seeing it and living in Utah. It's great that the Big 12 brought it back, especially with Bedlam not being around anymore, and then of course Red River going to the SEC. So hey, this is one of the new rivalries. Thank goodness it's protected as well. Really excited for these two to play November 9th, and obviously really curious how this team's going to be with Cam Rising coming back this year. And we talked about it before the show. A storyline is if Utah's as successful as their fans and others feel like they are going to be, is there a chance that Whittingham, this is his last season? They've already named his successor. And so, I mean, it's especially at a program like Utah, or I mean, any other program where it doesn't get like that Alabama, Georgia type hype, and you have an incredible season that's kind of the exception, not the rule. It's a good way to go out. So might be his last year, but we'll see. We'll see. Got a whole year to get through first.
No doubt, and got to keep everybody healthy, as Utah fans know. So third man in the box, though, is, well, a guy that's always fighting a family civil war in the Big 12, whether it's in Stillwater or Waco or Fort Worth. It could be Orlando or Cincinnati. He is the green mowing, weed growing Big 12 guru, Troy Chewning. How about them Utes, Troy?
Well, I will say it's good, like Rush said, to have the Holy War. I don't think the Butt Bowl really measures up in terms of, historical significance or protected rivalries. But yeah, there's going to be a whole era or area of the nation that learns how fucking serious the Holy War is and how fucking cool this football game is. If you don't like it or you haven't seen it or you're kind of ignorant to it, be ready. That game, no matter what happens, that thing's going to be nuts. Yeah. And, BYU ruin your season and give you a fucking cougar tail covered in whipped cream or whatever and be like, I hope you guys have a great additions in the transfer portal and everything. Like, it's the worst trash talk ever, having the Utah schools in the Big 12, but I guess I'll have to get used to it.
Troy, let's dive into this Whittingham era, though. I see the chat, Ryan. It could be Whittingham's last year, not going to be. It could, theoretically, if they go on a run, it could be. But one of the reasons why it could be is this is supposed to be a really, really good team. I mean, me personally, I love this program and the way their brand of football. Whittingham, year number 20, 162-79, won the multiple Pac-12 championships. We still have memories of them beating the shit out of USC, beating the shit out of Oregon those last couple of years with Cam Rising. But Rush, I know you've followed Utah to a certain extent your whole life. What's your thoughts on this program?
Sure, you want to ask me that question?
No, I mean,
So,
on the
so
field,
okay.
on the
All right.
field.
All right. So from a non-biased, non-BYU fan perspective, just a straight up college football lover, what Utah's done these past 20 years since Whittingham's been there has been absolutely incredible. I mean, that what was it? The Sugar Bowl against Alabama was really when that season started to take off. Of course, them going to the Pac-12 really helped their brand out. What was, a team in the Mountain West, and not only are they playing BYU again, but TCU, that should be a great matchup as well. The level of success they've just achieved has just been, it's like I said, it's been incredible. I mean, Whittingham's really put this team on the map and made it so that their ceiling is a national championship this year. With kind of stepping back from a cultural standpoint and the state of Utah itself, I think these are related. That Utah, when I was born out there and lived there for a little bit, it wasn't, people didn't take I would say the state as seriously. It was probably because of the Mormon culture, and then people didn't realize the hidden beauty with the state itself. But now in an era with working from home, and a lot of people have moved from other Western areas into Salt Lake City, for example, I think that is really, at the same time this Utah program's gone up, I think those both have worked really well together. And I think, Utah football is being taken very seriously, when there was a point where it's like, Utah, who wants to watch Utah? But I mean, it was the same for BYU. It was the same for those kind of Western college football teams that weren't USC or anything like that. So you got to give them all the credit in the world for everything that they've done from a cultural standpoint, from a program standpoint. I mean, this is really curious to see their Big 12 fit this year, because no team has been as good as Utah that's come into this conference, but we've also seen teams that have shifted conferences struggle in their first year. Like I said, there hasn't been a team this good yet, but we did see it a little bit last year.
Troy, I know you love this program. I know you love Whittingham. Just your thoughts on this program as they transition from the Pac-2 into, I guess, the Pac-6 or the Big 16. I've been taking numbers left and right, just making up names.
I think we do have to take into account that this program has switched conferences multiple times in the very recent past. So when it comes to these, we're going to see how they do. Obviously, they're not stepping up to a per se bigger league. They were already playing, whether you want to call it equivalent or slightly better or slightly worse, depending on the year or whatever. It's pretty much equivalent competition that you're playing in the Pac-12, coming over to the Big 12. They have experience stepping up from a conference where, there were questions about how they're going to compete, and they just said, shut the fuck up, we play football. I love the program. I love that they're still a developmental program. I know the last couple of years they have been able to really dive into that NIL, and, everyone gets a fucking Ford F-150 if you're a scholarship athlete at Utah, which is sweet. I know it's just a lease. You don't get to keep it forever, but driving around for, 4 or say 8 or 9 college years like Cam Rising with a leased F-150, man, think about how many bitches you could have pulled in college if you just had like a brand new F-150 every year when you rolled up. It's still one of those programs that, it's reminiscent of Gundy and Stillwater, and the idea of, like Rush said, who wants to go to oh man, Jesse Winker just hit a walk-off home run for the Mets. Who wants to go to Stillwater and hang out? Who wants to go to, Salt Lake City and hang out and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's kind of a blessing in disguise for these coaches that would rather have guys that aren't like ultimate talent, get in, get out, we're going to the league. We kind of want to, develop you and get you to buy into this culture and really care about what we're doing. And again, it's another one of those programs where if you really like college football, you want Utah to win this year. You want to see these guys that are developed within the in-house. You've got 2 deep on the depth chart at like offensive line positions, in-house developed, non-transfers that, hey, we're moving you to the left side. Hey, we're moving you back to the right side. Hey, you're going to have to play guard this weekend. Tough luck. Go out there and fucking compete and play football at the top level that you can. And the program does a great job of instilling it in the dudes. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with at this time, coming straight into a new league and being the favorite to win it. We saw how that worked in basketball pretty well for Houston.
They did. Now I will say, I will make a counterpoint on Utah fans that just think that they're going to come in and run the league. They did struggle in the transition to the Pac-12. They were 8-5, then 5-7, 5-7. So it took a minute, but then of course Whittingham's a great coach, great culture. They got it going. Their program is in a way better state right now than it was back then too. They have more talent, they have more depth, they have Cam Rising. But that is just another note. So real quick, we're going to talk offense, defense, and what we think of this team on the other side. But first, we got to talk about 10% off with the promo code football. Hey, come on, Utah fans. You like this hat right here? Get on over there. College experience, 10% off, plus college football kicks off this week. Tune into the Sports Gambling Podcast and the football experience for week 0 picks and all your favorite futures today. And we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Promo code TCESGPN. Troy, I'll let you queue up that Underdog app right now. I know you may give out a Nats game or something tonight. I know they played like dog shit against the Rockies last night. But real quick, everybody, get your phones app, download the Underdog Fantasy app, and use our promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit. Offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. Troy, you got anything queued up?
Well, we got CJ Abrams last night, but James Wood had a pretty horrible game. So we're going to zag on that and go back with a higher on half of a home run for James Wood. And then Brenton Doyle batting third for the Rockies kind of ate them up yesterday. Going higher on 1.5 bases. I guess somebody that was related to Captain Obvious went to school with him in high school. And one of the tests, I guess he asked Brendan Doyle for a pencil, and this guy looked over at him and just straight up said, "Should have brought your own." So that's the kind of guy that I want playing baseball for my team. If you're willing to be that much of a jackass, you can get me the higher on the 1.5 bases.
There you go. Get on over there, promo code TCESGPN, and use your pencil today. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Hey, man, the freaking contest is this weekend with Ryan and Sean out there. Greatest sportsbook in America. Make sure that you use our promo code SGP15 to get 15% off your hotel for the sign-up weekend. Sign up in person between now and September 7th, or use the proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 off with the promo code SGP and get a free hat today. All righty, back on the Big 12 college experience. Real quick, I do want to touch on this. I note taken. I understand that was the G5 Mountain West to the Pac-12, but there's also been other examples: Nebraska, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas A&M, like teams that have changed the leagues, Colorado, that have not had success right away. It takes a minute, in my opinion, to get used to playing the different styles, get used to different cultures, and just different schemes that you're going to play year in and year out. But Utah, I mean, they're as talented as anybody in this league. And the main reason is Cam Rising is back. He's healthy. Unfortunately, he missed the entire year. They still were able to grind out 8 wins, which I think is a testament to their culture with Whittingham. But Rush, just your thoughts on this offense. Is this offense going to go like it did 2 years ago and 3 years ago when Rising was under center?
Yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, it's as simple as that. He was clearly the X factor from last year. So the X factor that was missing, I mean, if he is in there, we're talking about what did they have? 8 wins last year. So yeah, we're talking 9-10 wins there, at least 2 extra wins. He's that type of quarterback, returning a lot of guys. I really like their 2 tight end sets that they run. This offense reminds me the Big 12. I don't think Utah fans are the biggest fan of being in the Big 12. They'd rather be in the Big 10. We'll table that for another conversation. But this team really fits into the Big 12 well. They just, the way that they're set up reminds me of a Big 12 team. I love 2 tight end sets. You can do a lot there. It's just wide receivers, Money Parks, what a name. Expecting a big season for him. Dorian Singer, the transfer coming in from the other Pac-12 schools. This is this is a team where, in an age where continuity is rare because of the transfer portal, can do a lot. They are a force to be reckoned with. It literally just comes down, can Cam Rising be healthy? It's as simple as that.
Troy? I think you're muted, Troy.
Oh, yeah. When I went to plug in my phone, I guess I muted. I was going to say, this is a team for the last few years. Obviously didn't play last year, so kind of subtract that. But we've seen Cam Rising literally carry this team to wins on a regular basis without too much help at skill positions on the outside, at least. We know they can develop tight ends and everything, but this has got to be the best receiver core that Cam Rising's ever had by like a lot. There's also going to be people that look back at Dorian Singer in like a year or two and think that he transferred from Big 12 Arizona to Big 10 USC back to Big 12.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, Micah Pittman, Damian Alford, those guys. I mean, even Tayshawn Lyons is like a 10-2 100-yard dash guy. Like, and that's your fifth guy in your receiver rotation. This offense shouldn't just go like it did a few years ago. This offense should probably be the first time that they have an offensive group that can match the level that their defense brings every fucking year. Yeah, if Cam's healthy, they're liable to put a hurting on a lot of teams that are going to be remembering Utah, or, you know, we'll get into the schedule later, but I would hate to be Arizona after kicking their ass last year.
Oh yeah, they got him at the right time.
That one's circled. That one's circled for sure.
Oh yeah. Let's talk the better unit, honestly, and I mean that tells you how good this defense was, because we think this offense can be really good. This defense has 9 starters back, and why they won 8 games was their defense, Whittingham's defense. It's been a staple of why they've been a good program. They're going to be really, really good in the trenches again, especially on the D line. So, Rush, just your thoughts on this defense, man. I think this, them and K-State, I think, are 1-2 on the defense. I guess Iowa State as well on the defensive side in the Big 12.
So something to give credit to Utah, and I don't have any necessarily numbers for this. This is a purely observation metric right here. For the longest time, it seemed like BYU was the program that would bring in these big Polynesian guys or make the biggest difference. Utah has done a great job in interrupting that and bringing them to Utah. Their lines, especially on the defensive end and interior line, the defensive line, pardon me, have been incredible these past years. They are excellent at run blocking. They are excellent at getting after the quarterback. And I don't know what switch went off to kind of prevent BYU from getting these premier Polynesian talents and in Utah starting to pick them up. Whatever they did, it worked. And now you're kind of seeing what we used to see at BYU because of that. So their defensive line is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
They're out Sataki, baby. That's what
they
are.
Doing. Yeah, which isn't good either, because you have a Polynesian coach at BYU. But it's true.
No doubt. I was hoping that you would give a couple of these names a jab and see if you could get the correct pronunciation. That's why I handed it right to you. I was like, I don't want to butcher these guys' name. I just know that they're big motherfuckers that are good at stopping the run, and they get after the passer, and they've been a really good unit. Troy, I know you like this defense. Break it down.
If you had to put together a defense that would cause an issue for the best Big 12 teams, it would be this defense.
Yep.
Of all the teams that we've predicted to, you know, play really well in the conference and have a chance at winning the conference championship, they all run the ball well. This is a team that brings back 9 guys from a defense that gave up 3.1 yards per carry last year, good for like 7th or 8th in the nation. I mean, if you want to see the opportunity for some names, I mean, Tanavasa and Tafuna in the middle of that defensive line are unfucking believable. Lander Barton is an easy one. We'll throw that one in there, but you got a linebacker like Lander Barton. Utah should win every game that they play. I mean, they really should, in terms of like when you look at this roster, just when you go through the roster and everything that you have, obviously things change week to week. You have people that get banged up. You have certain weeks where the matchup, all of that. Outside of that, when you just look at all the rosters in the league, this is the team that, like, obviously they're the favorite for that reason. And I don't have any, quarrels or qualms with saying that. They're stacked. They check every box that you're looking for. They do the things good that other teams are looking to exploit in the rest of the conference. And they've got a coach that knows. I mean, you would have to put Whittingham on the short list of best coaches in the nation, right? Like top 5.
Oh, easy. Him and Gundy 1-2 in this league, and they're definitely top 10 in the country, if not top 5.
So you pretty much have the exact recipe for, if you were ever going to have a team like this transitioning to a new conference in the first year where they go to 12 teams in a playoff. You really got to look at that. I know the juice for the conference championship is higher, but it's like plus 210 or plus 220 for them to make the playoff. That seems like a pretty reasonable bet. I mean, if you see them losing games, it's probably going to be on the road. You can pretty much eliminate anybody that they're playing at home. And the teams that, they would get beat by on the road are going to be right in that quality loss category. If they were to lose one of those road games, and for some reason, the Big Ten has like also like a 2-loss Ohio State that misses out on the conference title, or like a 2-loss or 3-loss Michigan, you got to think that even if Utah loses the Big Ten or the Big 12 championship, you've got a pretty good shot at this team having enough momentum and national notoriety to still sneak in that playoff. So, top to bottom, this roster there's a reason why it's the class of the Big 12. It's because they have a bunch of dudes that love playing football, and they're probably not worried about NIL deals to the extent of like Oklahoma State putting a fucking QR sticker on their helmet. That's going to come back to haunt them. You're going to probably see me Benedict a little bit when we go through this schedule because some of the recent developments in Stillwater. You got the coach yelling at guys to stop asking for money, and then you've got the athletic director putting a QR code to donate NIL money live anytime you want. These are all things that Kyle Whittingham doesn't deal with. He just coaches fucking football. It's like the defensive aspect and the 2 tight end set and everything. Like, he just needs to go ahead and cut the sleeves off his hoodie and accept his role as next Belichick.
Let's talk odds. Over under set at 9.5, 3-1 to win the Big 12. That is the shortest. Slight favorite over K-State. There is a book out there that I know we saw 55-1 to win it. There's a one out there 70-1. Shop around. First glance, they're going to be favored most likely in 11 out of 12 games. The one game in Stillwater being a toss-up. Probably lean to the over, but I think it'll be close. I think it's a 9-10 win team on the surface. Rush?
I'll lean towards the over on this one. You got to think they get at least 10 wins, assuming everyone's healthy. I don't like the value to win the Big 12. Obviously not saying that they can't, but in terms of the value where Rising has an injury history, this is a new team in a new conference. Weird stuff just happens in the game of football. It just does. Like this could be that. And to give an example, TCU 2 years ago, while they went to the national championship, they technically didn't win the Big 12. Like, Utah could also be that team as well, right? So I just don't think there's enough value there at 300 plus 300 to win the Big 12. Maybe if we were at 4, it'd be a little different story, but that's kind of a little close for me.
I mean, I think they're chances of winning the Big 12 are very high. So obviously the 3-1 isn't super juiced up, but it's a bet that I feel like you're more likely to win than trying to. I mean, it's still probably just a sprinkle because of the other teams in this league, but you got to lean the over here, knowing that. When's the last time they've lost at Rice-Eccles? 2020?
No, last year they got drilled by Oregon, but I mean,
yeah, that's right, Oregon,
Rising,
and
Rising wasn't there, but the last
Oregon
time
beat them, and 2020 was like before 21 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got to think that 6 home games, you're getting 6 of those, and because of that, I think right away you lean the over. I think they could probably win 4 road games, and the schedule kind of seems like they're the belle of the ball for your mark. There is, a couple of weird spots that they get put in, but I think I would lean the over before we go directly through the schedule.
All right, let's do it. Let's go game by game. They're going to start with Southern Utah, and they're going to absolutely drill them. So 1-0 for all three of us. Baylor. I think this is going to be a closer game than people on the surface will agree. I know it's in Salt Lake, but I got Utah pulling away at the end and getting to 2-0. Rush.
I think Baylor's chance to beat Utah was last year, and they blew it. I think with this game being at Utah, I think the best scenario for Baylor is Utah pulls out ahead, they get a little soft, and Baylor kind of tries to make the last second comeback. I'm not worried about this game for Utah. Now, next game, and I'll talk about why when we get to it, I'm more worried about than this game. 2-0.
The Baylor roster doesn't have the talent to go into Rice-Eccles Stadium and win this game. If for some reason the Utah roster is not what we're predicting right now because of an injury or because, Cam plays 10 plays and realizes everything's still fucked up or something like that, I still think I would give the win to Utah. If they had a pig farmer, they would still beat Baylor. So, I think 2-0 is not. It might be a close game for like 3 quarters, and I feel like Utah maybe outscores them like 13 or 14-0 in the fourth quarter, and it kind of looks more like a beatdown.
So 2-0 for all three of us. The next game is tricky. Utah State just lost everyone. Rush, I think you called it last year. I think it'll be a closer game because of the little brother rivalry. What was it? Nevada, Kansas last year. Weird.
Yeah.
But
in Reno.
I think they'll find a way to get it done in Logan. They just have so much more talent.
Yeah, Utah will win this game, but like I said it last year, this game is similar to that Kansas going to Reno playing Nevada vibe because they have to go to Stillwater next week, the following week. I mean, that's a solid look ahead spot. They're going to want to make. I know that the Baylor game doesn't count as a traditional Big 12 game. Gundy versus Whittingham. I mean, so much hype is going to be on that game, even a week before that game. So Utah has to be careful here not to sleepwalk in Logan. Utah State is a hard place to play. Ask BYU fans. Obviously, we see it in the NFL. Jordan Love was at Utah State. Utah State has come a long way, and not just football, their athletics in general. I mean, we've seen it with their basketball team too. So you just got to be careful in this game. I think, for 3 quarters, Utah might get a little scared, and then fourth quarter comes around, then all of a sudden they're up 2 touchdowns or even 17 just like that. But it's going to be a tough one. You just can't look ahead to Oklahoma State.
I think this one would have been tougher if it weren't for all the bullshit that the program at Utah State is now going through. It's just a little bit too much when you're asking for that, little brother. If we played 10 times, they might beat us 9, but we have this one game to go out and perfectly execute. I don't really give them much of a shot, to be completely honest. There is a chance that things go weird, but I think it's pretty safe to say Utah's 3-0.
All right, Big 12 opener. In Stillwater, on the OK State preview, I had the Cowboys winning. I think Gundy's going to get him. I think Gundy's had this one circled. This is kind of the welcome to the Big 12 game. I think Ollie Gordon makes enough plays. Give me OK State to get it done, and what I think will be a hell of a game over Utah.
I'm going Oklahoma State in this game too. I think the difference in this game is the home team. I think this is like a grinded out 20-17 game. I'm really excited for this game. I think this is that welcome to the Big 12 game. I'll tell you what, if Utah wins this game, while the odds are still somewhat decent, put in those national championship picks. At least put in something big, because man, to go into Stillwater, first Big 12 game and win would be incredible for Utah. I'm going to pick OK State. I think this is going to be one of those grinded out games. But it could be one of those short-term pain, long-term success. They go back to the chalkboard. They have motivation. They've been humbled a little bit. Next thing you know, they go on a run.
This one scares me kind of like the Utah State one scared Rush. I think this one is, no matter how much hype is going to be around it, it's like I kind of hinted to earlier, that Arizona game is the one they have circled. And going on the road to Stillwater is very, very difficult. And in the Oklahoma State preview, I took Oklahoma State. So naturally here, I'm going to take Utah to win this game. I think this is where you see where the difference in, I mean, everybody else already has seen it and knows that it's true, but you're going to get to see up front Cam Rising versus Alan Bowman isn't really much of a competition. And I know that it's, 11 on 11 on the field, but Oklahoma State is really good when they can run the ball, and Utah is really good at stopping teams from running the ball and making the quarterback outplay them, which Bowman's going to need one of his Bowman moments. The good ones, not the bad ones. I think this is a pretty tough ask, but I think there's a pretty good chance they go into Stillwater and win this game. September, Oklahoma State, always iffy.
4-0 for Troy, 3-1. I think they're going to drill Arizona back in Salt Lake. So 4-1 for me, 4-1 for Rush. Troy, do you got them 5-0?
Yeah, I do. I think this is a showcase game for Utah against Arizona here. Out of all the teams that have a good chance of preventing McMillan from getting the ball through pressure and through selling out for the run, I think late in the game, the Utah defense gets a couple of stops and really pulls away. And of course, you're not going to have to worry about them letting off the gas pedal here. So probably also taking the points.
Then they get a bye. Then they got to go to Tempe. This is going to be a closer game than I think people are going to realize. They struggle traditionally in Tempe. I think they'll get out of there alive because they got the bye week. Friday night game, I got them beating Arizona State and TCU to get to, and I got them beating Houston. So the next three headed in. So this is a 3-game stretch coming out of the bye. I got them at 7-1. Is that right? 7-1 with 4 to go. Anybody else got anything different?
No, I'm with you, Ryan. Could be a closer game in Tempe. They'll be just fine. I could see a close first half and then them blowing out. They'll beat TCU at home. At Houston, we could see Fritz starting to come alive that time of year and maybe be a little bit of a closer game, but Utah will win those 3 games going into the bye, and then we know what comes next.
Yeah, Tempe's like one of the only places that Whittingham has a losing record, which is kind of weird for the success that he's had for so long. But for some reason, they just get fucked up down there in the desert. I do agree with you guys, though. I think the talent level and where their goals and aspirations as a team are set is enough to get them through a tough game, specifically after a bye where they can be really prepared for it. Very nice of the Big 12 to give them Arizona State, TCU, Houston sandwiched in between byes where, you can basically just focus on the front half and the back half of the season. And if everything's going to plan, then that should be a 3-0 stretch for sure for Utah here.
Let's go over. They got the bye, then they got the game we've been talking about, the best rivalry in the Big 12 now, the Holy War. BYU's going to hang. I want to pick BYU so bad. Whittingham's off a bye. I'm going to take Utah.
BYU is too.
Yeah, BYU is also off a bye.
But Whittingham versus Satake off a bye. I'll take
fair.
Whittingham but
just clarifying.
Whittingham worked for Satake, right?
I don't know.
You mean Satake worked for Whittingham?
Satake worked for Whittingham, yeah.
And there's a reason why you look at the scores in this series. Utah's had some damn good teams. That most of the games are one possession games. So this is a throw the record out. I'll take Utah to win a one possession game.
This game should absolutely be played the last weekend 100%. Of the season. Just want to note that real quick. We had Big 12 Mafia on the Ryan and Rush show, and he made a great point. He's like, this game should be played on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the biggest party day of the year. And if you're not going to drink, you might as well play football, which, that they got to figure that out. I love that idea. Rise and shout, the Cougars are out. This is going to be their Utah's last loss, and this will get them straight to make their Big 12 run. Cougars.
Spoil the party.
31-24.
I think I'm with Rush. I think BYU wins this game.
It makes sense.
I think Utah comes in undefeated and at home after saying they're probably going to win all 6 home games. I feel like there's a shot here for BYU to win this game. I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and pick BYU.
Let's go. So one loss. I mean, you're basically saying they're going to get one loss before then. Maybe it's the BYU, maybe it's Oklahoma State game.
I'm just giving them the one loss in the anything goes rivalry moment compared to thinking Stillwater's a hard place to play. Sure, it's probably more likely that they lose in Stillwater and beat BYU from a team aspect. But when you throw in the whole emotional holy war thing, it's just like Bedlam. Shit happens. It's like full moon no matter what. But yeah, what Colby would say, the corporate bullshit of not playing this as the last game of the year is fucking horseshit and horrible, because it'd be way better if they were 11-0 and BYU got them.
Completely agree. Man, if they were at Colorado in September, October, I would be tempted to take October, but I'm not taking Dion in November against Whittingham. You'd have to drug test me to take for fucking Colorado against Utah in November. Give me Utah to go in there and get it done.
Yeah, I think just my feeling about the Arizona game, same thing with this Colorado game. I don't care that it's at Colorado. Coming off a loss, they're going to stomp the other team. This is going to be like a 52-14 game.
It's culture time. November's culture time. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not taking Colorado here. It'll be cold enough that the fans get too high and they might not play as much of a role in this game, especially the way that Utah can kind of dumb the game down if they really want to. And I think that the way that Shadur and Travis Hunter like to play, it feels like they're falling right into the trap of what Utah's defense wants them to do. Feels like they can bait Shadur pretty well and probably play a lot of guys straight up that Colorado is not really used to seeing. So, yeah, I'm taking Utah here.
Iowa State comes off the bye coming into this game, but this is when we said Iowa State's Big 12 dreams come to an end. Give me Utah senior day for Cam Rising and all those seniors. This may clinch for me a share of the Big 12 title. Rush.
You're good. Yeah, Utah is going to win this game with it being in Utah. This might be kind of, we see it. Iowa State plays Utah, then Kansas State. We're starting to see that in this week's where we kind of have a de facto quarterfinals and then the following week semifinals for that Big 12. I do like the way the Big 12 set this up. I will say this from the Iowa State side of things. If Iowa State loses this game, I don't think they'll necessarily be out of it against Kansas State, but I think a lot of us are predicting that second spot in the Big 12 championship game. What's the over-under for tiebreakers that are going to need to go out? I think it'll be a situation for Iowa State. They'll lose here to Utah. Even if they beat Kansas State, they're going to need some other team to win, some other team to lose, one of those But I do agree with you. I think Utah wins this game, stays alive for the Big 12 championship, and most likely knocks out Iowa State's dreams and hopes of going to the Big 12 championship this year.
Yeah, I have Utah winning this one too. November in Utah, late November. Not that Iowa State doesn't deal with, rough settings at their own home field, but again, it just seems like the talent disparity is what really pushes Utah over the edge in all of these games. I know we were talking about with some of the other teams having all these close losses and whatnot. Utah is one of those, Kirk Ferentz style, like we figure out a way to get it done. It might not be pretty, but we still come out of there with a win. Not that that's what's going to occur in this game, but that mindset, you get into these late season games where it's a lot more grit than it is, perfect execution. And there's ups and downs that hopefully your team has good leadership and kind of dealt with a few of them before, which Utah has. So you get into these late games and it's like, man, there's a reason why they always end up finding their way to the top of the standings in whatever conference that they've been in recently. They just work their way up there. And I think there's a bit of a step difference between Iowa State and Utah. I feel like there's a whole half step of level up that Utah's at. So they get this done.
Final game at the Bounce House. I got them losing this one. 10-2 for me. I'm on the over. And I don't know. Rush, what do you – I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my playoff scenarios. So 10-2 for me, the Utes.
Well, and we'll put the asterisk that our full final playoff scenarios will be next week on the show when, we do our final predictions and game previews. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, I think the BYU loss for Utah propels them forward. I also think with this game being played Thanksgiving weekend, I do think you'll actually get a solid amount of Utah fans at this game, making a Disney World vacation out of it. I also think by this point in the season, UCF, they'll want to play spoiler, of course, but I also wouldn't be surprised if a little air is let out of the balloon, so to speak. I'll go Utah here, and winning this game obviously puts them in a great spot from my end to only 2 losses in the Big 12, most likely playing in the Big 12 championship game.
Troy?
Friday night at the Moon Bounce, there's not going to be any air let out of that balloon. Come on, Rush. Friday night, bath salts getting passed around, key bumps everywhere. That place is going to be awesome. I actually messaged my sister earlier and was like, we should start looking at tickets for that Friday night on the 29th, because what I think the records of these two teams coming in, this one is like, you already know what I'm doing on Friday night on the 29th of November is watching this game on Fox. I think UCF gets this one done and enacts the incredible tiebreakers that are yet to be seen. I feel like this is going to be the difference between, making the Big 12 championship game and missing out because of like the 6th or 7th tiebreak rule or something like that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Utah finish and be 11-1, but for some reason, I just trust Gus.
All right, real quick, we'll talk ceiling and futures on the other side, but we got to talk about rhythm. Get on over there, get your model created. Week 0 starts in here in 3 days. I already talked about it. I took the Yellow Jackets plus 11.5. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by Game Time, baby. Use our promo code CFBX so that you can know exactly where you're sitting. No obstructive views. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Inflation's kicking everybody's ass, so get on over there and use the Game Time app to at least save you a couple bucks that you can buy a cold one with and a hot dog or whatever you want to eat at the ball game. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Back on the Big 12 college experience. I think we all agree the ceiling is 11-1, 12-0.
12-0.
Win the Big 12, get a bye in the playoff.
There'll be a loss to BYU in there, 11-1.
What's the floor? I think last year was the floor. 8-4, Rising banged up on and off this year, and their culture still will find a way to win 8 games, I think.
I agree. 8-4. They're too good not to be, even if Rising went down or something like that. And we're talking mostly injuries to the side. I mean, they're too good not to win 8 games.
Yeah, I think even injury free, I think 9-3 is the floor. I think
you might be right.
Losing the 2 away games, Oklahoma State and UCF, and then maybe BYU does get them. Maybe Arizona is that good and gets them 2 years in a row or something like that. But I don't see them losing all 4 of those games. And I really don't see this Utah team having a slip up spot, to be completely honest. The schedule kind of works in their favor. So I'll go 9-3. The reason why I'm kind of heavy on this over is because I think there's a way better shot that this team goes 12-0 than 8-4. Like, I really think that there's a significantly better chance, and definitely 11-1 compared to 8-4. So it's called a floor for a reason, but I do think 3 losses is the most that you're going to see from this team.
Let me ask you. Let me paint a scenario here. Utah, K-State, Oklahoma State all go 10-2. K-State, Oklahoma State plays for the Big 12 title. Does Utah get in at 10-2?
3 teams.
They
don't play.
That's where I just
it would depend.
If Kansas State wins that game, then yes, because they don't play K-State. If Oklahoma State wins that game and they're not playing in the championship game because they already lost to Oklahoma State, I see that as being we've kind of already seen this game play out. But I think, the fact that K-State's not on the schedule, if K-State were to beat another team outside of Utah for tiebreaker purposes, I think Utah would slide in there in that 11 seed.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Utah is in a good position, I think, because of their previous history, which they say they're not biased about.
But they do.
College football, of course it is. Obviously being the Pac-12, maybe not being a true Big 12 team, that if a team were to sneak in, Utah is by far your best candidate for that. I also think we kind of alluded to it here a second ago, but Kansas State and Utah do not play each other. The Big 12 did that on purpose. They knew what they were doing with that. That is their best chance to get 2 teams in there. Your scenario, Ryan, I don't know if that would play out right, because most likely that means Oklahoma State would have beat Utah. Kansas State, Utah don't play. Kansas State and Oklahoma State play, right?
Yeah. What if K-State beats – it's in Manhattan. What if K-State beats OK State, OK State beats Utah, Utah doesn't have a head-to-head win?
Yeah, so then Utah would be out.
Yeah, so that's my scenario. What if it's K-State and OK State in the final and Utah is the one sitting at 10-2 but doesn't have another game? I think they get in based off their reputation, and if their only 2 losses are at OK State,
they should be allowed to use the Baylor win as a conference win tiebreaker.
Well, in my scenario, they lost to OK State.
They're going to put a 3-4 loss SEC team ahead. I just don't.
That would be.
It would have to be the perfect storm. I agree.
Yeah.
If there's a team to make that work out, Ryan, it would be
Utah.
That's 3 Big 12 teams.
It's not. The scenario is not unlikely.
Maybe in 2 years when it goes to 14. They're not going to do it this year.
They just need the Big Ten to beat up on each other. And if you don't get 3 Big Ten teams in, then there's a chance that maybe Utah would be able to slide in.
Utah needs West Virginia to beat Penn State. Week 1.
I will say, historically, in the 14 playoff, missing the conference championship game, they made a big deal out of it. Unless it was an SEC school, but with 10 wins, you could be in that spot where it's like, hey, we don't get a loss in the conference championship. So maybe there's a chance one of these other bubble teams gets beat and we slide in. So I don't know. It seems like Utah should just win all their games if they want to go to the playoff.
Just win.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they don't, but just win. That's how you get in.
I'm kind of painting the picture. It would be bullshit if they left out a 10-win Utah team, but we'll worry about that if that scenario does come to fruition. Just know there's a path that this all could happen, Utah fans. So, all right, we got 15 down. Well, we're leaving the best one for last tomorrow. The West Virginia Mountaineers. You can pencil that in. That's 12-0, 16-0 after the playoff. Just kidding. We'll break down the Mountaineers year number 5 of year number 6 in the Neil Brown era. Big year again, coming off a 9-win season. We'll preview that tomorrow. Rush, what we got going on? Ryan and Rush coming up next year.
Double feature on the Ryan and Rush show. 9 minutes. We're previewing Battle for Atlantis basketball tournaments during Thanksgiving time were released, so we'll talk about West Virginia path there. And then 7:00 we have Cocaine Willie. That great show. I promise you, there will not be any energy lacking on that show tonight at 7:00 live. Ryan and Rush show. They're a Kansas State podcast, so we'll be going in depth about Kansas State, a team that Utah might be playing in the Big 12 championship. So check us out on that platform, of course. Looking forward to talking some West Virginia tomorrow, boys.
Troy, you're headed to DC, I'm assuming?
Yeah, going back to watch the boring Nats. Luckily, I got invited to play Riverbend Country Club this weekend, so I get to go up there to maybe the nicest track in the area. Kind of a hidden gem, but, not too many people get invited as a guest on Members Only Day, so way to go, me.
There you go. Way to go, you. Hey, way to go, everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys rocking with us.
Way to go, chat.
Go check out all other 15 or all other 14. Like I said, Mountaineers are tomorrow, the final one. Then we'll preview the games next week and give out our official Big 12 scenarios. We'll be back tomorrow. Go check out the Ryan and Rush show. Go check out the college basketball experience coming on after the Ryan and Rush show at 5. Coach Senderoff of Kent State. But yeah, he is at Troy Chewning. He's at Rambling Rush. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. We are the Big 12 college experience. Go Utes. And we are out of here. Mountaineers are next.